Hello tutors, welcome to another one of my videos. This one is on the A37b Dragonfly Super Tweet, as the title will suggest. Why did I even say that? Thank you very much, before I waffle on, to all those people that took the time out to answer those couple of questions I said. I don't fish for comments, it's not like, what do you think, or what do you, all that type of stuff. It genuinely, if I ask a question, it's because I need to. And yes, I know I've been sandwiching bits of styrene with glue for a few years, but I just need a shave. I just fall down with my aircraft seams and my aircraft in general, particularly. I suppose it's because with the tanks I can not so much just hide things, I do, but yeah, they're more industrial, and you've got weld beads to put on and things. There's always something you can hide that doesn't look to your eye right, and probably to a lot of tubesters out there. But the aircraft are like cars, even military aircraft, unless you're going to really smash the hell out of them, and ultra weather them and stuff. But hands down and hold the desk out. People don't want to see hands moving all the time. Sound like Al Jolson. I'm doing it again. Hold the desk out. Yeah, they're like cars, in my opinion. You've got to be absolutely spot on. All right, you don't have to be, and nobody will criticise you if you're not, because there's some really nice people out there. But in my own head, right then, not your head, my head. You want to do the best you can do. You want to be like the people that you see on the videos and stuff. So thanks again to all the people that said, well, Gav, I would let the glue rest overnight, or at least a few hours, and very much appreciated. As I say, I don't fish for things. It's just, if you are kind enough to put a comment up, it's always appreciated. I like interacting with people. It's just, as I say, apart from taking Archie out, I spend all my time in this room, so it's nice to be able to interact with people. So coming up, I was going to stick the wings on the other night. I've filled the seam, and yet there still looks to be a seam there, and I wasn't sure whether I'd just go sprue gooing it all down the top, or putty, or what. But I thought, no, let's leave it. Not that I'm going to leave it, but what I mean is put the other stuff on when I get round to putting the primer on. We'll see what needs doing, and if that means I've got to literally plaster that seam so it's invisible with stuff, and then keep working on it, we get more sanding, that's what we've got to do. Because I want to, it's only a small little thing, but I would like it to be as good as I can get it out of the box. Also noticed that I thought there was at least some decals for the seat belts, and it doesn't appear to be. So I'm going to have to do some, as I say, I'm not going overboard with this one. It really is out of the box. It was just to try and get the seams filled right and all that type of stuff, rather than try and be clever with it. So I will just mock up some Tamiya tape of some description, and whether I have to paint the buckles on, or just to have them draped. I went and looked on, I did actually find some in cockpit interiors. They're for later super tweets, but it'd be roughly the same. So yeah, that's got to be done. It's a bit shame not seeing it. I know people aren't a big fan of decal harnesses, but I just think they're better than nothing, and on a 1 in 72, that cockpit is a lot wider. It's a two, obviously it's people side by side, but yeah, it is what it is. We'll work our way around that. So let's get down to the bench. We'll glue the wings on. Hopefully I've dry fitted them enough time. There might be a bit of filling here and there, I don't know, and then there are some other bits I've already pre-looked at. There's no point me waffling to you, is it? Let's go down to the bench and take a look. Right guys, thanks for joining me at the bench. We'll be dealing with these guys here. So putting these on. Now before we start, as I said to you on the intro, let's get a bit closer, Gav, so the tubesters can see. We need some seat belts in there, really. I mean, you could go to town, you could have had little tiny rivets, I suppose, and things to the seat belts. You know, you can do more to the cockpit, and there is, I think there's some aftermarket photo etch you can get for these guys. As I say, mine's just out of the box. You can see the line there. It's better in places than others. I mean, I run my nail and I can still feel a very slight groove. The problem I've got is the groove's so tiny. When I try and wipe the filler over it, half the time it just comes out, if that makes sense. I tried to rescribe that really badly. Oh well, that's something else I've got to learn. The nose here doesn't feel as bad. Here, I've built it up at the side. Again, I don't know if that's going to show. We'll see when we put some primer on, I suppose. I don't want that to be the state of affairs though. If I've noticed, I cannot see a join. You know, like on some aircraft they have a genuine you know, like panel line down the middle, if that, for want of a better word, but this unfortunately doesn't, and I don't want that to have, you know, I don't want it to be, oh well, it's the best I can do. So when I've got the wings on, and you know, when I'm ready to do some primering, I'm just going to keep going at that until I can get it right. I just didn't want to, I couldn't see how I could sand any more without sanding a depression into it. So we'll get on with these guys. I think we'll get on with getting the wings on, and then in today's video, because I'm probably have to do a bit of filling of the wings, but we'll get on to adding a few more pieces. The actual nose will be hidden by the refueling pylon, so that'll be or some of it anyway. So that'll be a bit of stuff hidden, and there's also on here, which again, when I was supposed to pre-drill them, I'm just trying to look. Yeah, I was. Hey, something else I've missed. Oh my life. So I was supposed to have drilled out 2 holes at the when I put the 2 halves together, or pre-drilled them, because there's like a little cover over the top, which would do the communications, I'd imagine. Oh well, we've got to put some holes into this blind, so we might as well do them here as well. Right, let's crack on. Right, there is a fair bit of movement on that, as you can see. I mean, it's probably my doing somewhere along the line. I've just tried to put a wing top section on just to see if that would centre it more, but it doesn't. It still moves around with the wing attached. So I think I'm just going to glue that with the least amount. See that whichever way you have it, if it's flush here, it sticks out a bit there. In fact, it sticks out a lot there, doesn't it? Will that hold there? Oh, that's a bit better. It still sticks out, but not so much. Right, I'm going to glue that like it is. Try and keep that edge as least sticking out as possible. So we've got it still sticks out slightly that side, and I'm trying to, hang on before I put my glue in there. It sticks out a bit there, but I think that's the lesser of 2 evils. I think we can shave that back with a sanding stick. Right, let's do the back piece. It's a nice little aircraft. I must admit, you know, I like the big old Sandies, the big old Sky Raiders, which this was supposed to take over a lot of that work. because I believe it was just obviously faster than a Sandy, but, or a Sky Raider, whatever you want to call it, but at the same time slower than one of the big fast jets. So its time over target would, you know, you'd have less. In fact, they actually, the United States Air Force didn't lose a single one of these in combat in Vietnam, which says a lot, because, you know, we've all seen and we've all heard enough horror stories of the amount of ground fire coming up to helicopters and well, any aircraft, and they did lose a fair few Sandys, I believe, obviously just flying the missions they were doing. Right, so I can't do much more sticky wise, can I, with that? That's a technical word, sticky. I did look into painting. You get a small amount of detail. Can we even see it? Can you just about see it there? And obviously there's a bit of detail in the actual wheel wells, but I didn't think it warranted painting it at the time. Right, that looks like it could do with a bit more cleaning. Now, give me a minute, I'm just going to see if I can clean that a bit better. Let's just mark that one off so I know where I am. Right, I've got this lower wing dry fitted, as we can see. There may be a slight seam in the that will need filling in the wing, so I think I'm going to go forward with a bit of gluing. I don't think that's going to fit any better without I've got some, in fact actually, yeah, I'll put some, no I won't, 1 minute. Sorry tubesters, I just remembered I've got my trusty clothes pegs that I bought special from the range, very cheap, to hold aircraft wings, and as usual with me, with my odd memory problems, I forget they're there. Right, I'm using some of the Tamiya white glue. Just want to splurge everywhere, but hey, oh, we've just got some over the top there, I think. At least in this lower and upper wing. Let's make sure we've got the right one. Right. Oh, this is where it gets smeared everywhere. Right, I just dry fitted it with the pegs just a minute ago, just to see if it'll hold for me. So if I push that, will that move that way? Well, you pay one way or the other with this type of join. You either, if you move it away, it'll you'll have a larger gap at the base here, or a bigger one up to the fuselage, but we'd prefer a lesser one there. So right, we've got our base glue on. I'd normally put my hotter glue on just to hold it in place better, but this thicker stuff will probably work better over the long run. Before we put another one on, we'll run our hot glue now, well, hotter, give it a belt and braces. And what I don't want, make sure I've got the glue there, because we don't want to, right, maybe if I could move that down and then put another one on. Now has that pulled that away? It has slightly, hasn't it? Right, I'm going to have to run a beaded glue down the fuselage, and somehow, see the weight of these now are now pulling it away. push that together. So now you could be doing underneath, Gav, couldn't you? This is where we need that lift music on again. I actually remembered, they're probably going to be too big, but you can see I've drilled a load of holes. Forgot every other one, but hey, we've got the pylons covered. Right, how does that look, tubesters? I'll knock the video off now, I'll give it a couple of minutes and then I'll do the other one off camera just so I'm not boring the hell out of you. Right, as we can see, well and truly held together. Now if I could leave it like that, we'd be quidsing, but unfortunately we can't. So what I'm going to do next, let's just put him down. Yeah, this will be going well. Some weight in that. Well, we've done that bit. We'll now be looking at these bits here. I'm thinking of doing the pylon first, because as we know I haven't drilled the holes like I was supposed to, or the hole. So we'll have to have a look. Thanks for the suggestions, guys, about putting that in. I appreciate that. I won't name names because I think there's a couple of you, and I can remember one and I can't remember the other one. We will then do this. I'm taking it to communications device, and then we'll do these guys here, and that I think will be the end of the video then, because I'm going to then have to fill it like I've done before. Hopefully the filling won't be as bad as the centre seam, but we'll get an idea then where we are with what seams have still got to be filled. And then there's lots of like different, again, different communications arrays. Maybe there's jamming devices and things and that we've got to put on. And then there's a whole load of weapon stores and pylons to put on. And that's, you know, there's not a huge amount to do to the aircraft. As I say, it's not a, you know, it's not a massively complex affair, and you could make it a bit more complex. As I say, they do a photo etch sheet, you know, for inside and out. You know, there's more to it than that. But you know, it's a nice little aeroplane. So what did I say? Yeah, we'll turn it off now. Go and check out. I'll check out the pylons, clean it up, and then we'll offer it up to the aircraft. Right, guys, might have jumped the gun slightly. I went and fixed on the refueling probe without thinking about it. Sorry, I drilled the hole. I marked it off with a pencil. Because I used a very slightly oversized drill bit to the bit that was, it doesn't give you the size of the drill bit, it just, you know, I was just judging it by the peg, and it just gave me a very slight alignment that I could move it around a bit if I wanted to. You just know that's going to bust off, don't you? You just know it. But it's got to go on, you know. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it and just hope for the best. We are now, it says something about putting a little, probably a gun sight D6, which goes, actually goes, I'll tell you what I haven't done on all this, because I was saving it in case I wrecked it sanding. I haven't actually put the cover over with the flight dials on and everything. How about I'll do that next? I won't do that on camera because I know it's going to be fiddly, because I've got to try and get it under there slightly. So we'll do that, get that on, and I'll either knock the video off at that point, because I'm conscious I don't want, you know, like 50-minute, 40-minute videos. So I might well knock that off there and come back to you with, I'm not sure if I'm going to do any tomorrow. I might well do some tomorrow. I'm having a whole day model building tomorrow, I think. And my wife's on holiday at the moment, so I have to keep, as in here, and I have to keep doing videos when I can when the house is quiet, and she's out all day tomorrow as she is today. So I will I wanted to do a load on the Lexington, because it just got nowhere with that in the last week or two. So I will put a video in tomorrow of adding some more bits and pieces to this, and then I'll crack on with the Lexington for most of the day. So this will be yeah, I'll just do a bit of filming right at the end, just to show you this piece in this glare shield and everything in place. Right guys, this is the last bit of filming for today. What a palaver getting that it was. Before I actually put the you know, like with the dials and stuff in, and I've completely lost the name for that. Shouldn't do, as I like my aeroplanes, but never mind. This like glare shield over the top, for want of a better word, I thought it was going to be really fiddly, and I put a bit of tissue between the tweezers and put it in, fitted it first time, then realised that the dash, it's not the dashboard, is it? You know what I mean? It's really recessed. There we go. Can you just about see? I think I can just about get a. I believe you do get a decal for it. If not, I'll just have to dry brush it. But the sticks are really close to it. They're literally like probably about a mil or so away. We wouldn't, not even that. And then trying to get it over there, it actually sits not too bad. There's obviously a gap around it now, and I'm going to have to completely repaint it after all my faffing around. But there's two little lugs that it sits on in the corner there, and obviously the tab underneath. So, but do you think I could get it? Not a chance. It has taken all this time, and then finally, as they do sometimes, it just decided it was going to drop into place. So yeah, I think that's it for today, because I'm going to need to obviously fill some of the gaps. The main one on the fuselage isn't too bad actually. That's not too bad. Underneath, not as good, I don't think. I mean, you're going to about have a slightly wider gap anyway, I would think, with some of the panel lines and obviously the flaps and whatever. I mean, as I say, we're a bit. Oh, sorry. There we go. We've got that one closed up more, and that one seems to be wider. So I'm wondering if I'd put a bead of filler in that, well, in both of them, and then just gently rescribe it slightly. As I say, I'm going to paint these by hand. There we go, the wheel wells by hand. I didn't see the sense in doing it any other way, because it's in white in the wheel bays. As I say, I've run some filler down there. I was going to clean it off, but these sit so low, I don't think so. I'm going to have to rub down though these. I'll just check. I would imagine there would be a seam line along there. I might be wrong, but it's sitting a bit proud in places. It's not the best of fits, so that'll need a bit of attention. So when we come back to it on the next video, we'll get these guys on here, these tail pieces. We'll get the whatever that is, if it is a communications array or whatever there. There's one bit to go, I believe, a light. I think it's the light, unless it's for the gun. So say this has a mini gun in the nose, but we've got probably something else I haven't drilled either. But that's no, it just fits in actually, I think. So we've got something to plonk on there. And then we've got the bits and pieces like the flaps for the undercarriage, things like that. So it's getting along now. We're almost not that far from paint. We'll have these bits here. We'll obviously have the small fuel tanks the tip tanks that they have on. We've got a couple of bits here to put on. which will black that off a bit. So yeah, it's not coming along too bad. Just put a little gun sight there. It's all glued up, but at that scale it's not going to really matter. But I will have to paint all that by hand again, and that outside edge, which is a bit of a shame, but never mind. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. This is our little guy and the progress we've made. And I will catch you very soon on another video, whether it's this one. There will be probably 2 or 3 because of these coming up in the week. To all my figure painting guys that don't like modelling won't be watching this anyway. But there will be other stuff being thrown up. But I really wanted to crack on with this, you know, not have it done over the space of weeks and weeks. I really wanted to get this one done. So as I say, I'm building this I just wanted to get back to building some aeroplanes and try and practice getting these seam lines done. And a good marrow of the channel, Gary over at Gary's Stuff, he does a lot of out of the box builds and things, and I just wanted to dedicate that to him as well, because he's a good bloke. I've just noticed that all the nice paintwork I've done on the headrests I've obviously rubbed off with my hands as I've been trying to fit that in. Oh dear, never mind. Well, we'll give it a highlight. So yeah, we're getting there. I'm a bit chuffed that that's fitted so well. That's good. It's just if I can get rid of some. This seam line will be broken up with that antenna pod. But yeah, it's still not brilliant, is it? But we've just got a small bit of seam there. There's no way I'm going to fill that now. So when the canopy goes over, it will reduce it slightly more. I'm going to do this with the canopy closed. I don't see the point in it open, as it's, you know, it's such a bare interior. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch each other soon on the next video.